Diamond Melter, welcome. There's a bit of discussion about porosity at the moment in metal because of my recent upload, and I titled it like "Porosity is coming to get you," yeah, and it feels like that sometimes because quite a few instances in my career, like we've worked on metal, like looking out for porosity because I know it's a problem. So like worked on it, like filed the metal, like a finished ring, it's all filed back, it's all papered, and then it's polished, sort of reasonable amount, like 90% of finished. Then the stones are set, and then it comes back and it just needs a little bit of rubber wheeling and tidying up and another polish to get it perfect. And then a bit of porosity shows up, you're like, oh my god. So yeah, it literally feels like it just kind of attacks you right at the worst moment. So someone had mentioned on that video, I should consider laser welding. And yes, well, like in London where I worked, we did need the help of laser welders a few times, because just simply that, like after stones are set, like expensive tourmalines or coloured sapphires and that, you can't risk getting them hot. Yeah, a laser welder can just fill up a little hole really easily, and then it just comes back to us, a little bit of rubber wheeling and that, and then polish is done. Without that laser welder's help, we'd have to like start pulling claws about, unsetting all the stones that can't take the heat. A bit of a mess, not really a good way to finish a ring. So yeah, laser welders do have their use. So yeah, I want to do another video on like the scenario would be you've got a ring cast, there's a bit of porosity in it, there's just like one kind of horrible hole. I'm going to show you how to fix that, and yeah, I'll show you what I would do to fix that before moving on. But let's get into the video after I said thank you to the patrons. New patrons, got Dominique Labordery and Hayley Philemon. Thank you very much, guys. If you want to become a patron yourself, it's not only supporting me, it actually enables me to make new videos. Because check it out, yeah, I've been uploading for 2.5 years. I haven't even really started anything advanced yet. It's all beginners and intermediate videos. So advanced stuff, there's a lot of stuff in my mind I still haven't got to yet. So with a bit of financial help from patrons, I can make purchases, I can keep all my tools in good working order, like new condition tools. And also I can make purchases for like special stones and specific metals and stuff, and then I can actually get on with teaching you new things that you haven't seen before. Anyway, yeah, so if you want to become a patron, it really does help me, and you get a mention on the video, you get to see all the new uploads 2 weeks before they go public on YouTube, and you get access to all the full instructional guide, so it's well cheap, just from £5 a month to get that. So yeah, cool, right, let's get into this video. Okay, right, this is a little bit of make-believe, yeah, because I haven't actually got a finished piece of jewellery I'm working on with a porosity hole in it. But say this piece of platinum is something I'm working on, finishing it, and buffing it, getting it ready for a polish. And then you buff it, there's a little hole, and you're like, oh no, like a proper hole. I would recommend actually really attacking it, try and get the surface down a little bit, see if it improves. Sometimes they get worse. It's like a bigger hole than what the surface little hole is actually telling you. So that's got to be filled up, yeah? You can't just keep filing away, because then you change the dimensions of the piece you're working on. So what I do is get something sharp. I would use, maybe that's a bit big. Get a thin drill. I get a really thin drill, yeah, like that. Give it a poke, twist, see how deep it is. Sometimes you can just poke in there really easily, and it's quite deep. So because I buffed that, that was a drill hole, yeah, but that's my fake porosity hole. They literally do look like that. You can get bigger than that as well. So that's got to be cleaned out, because we're going to fill it up with solder. So I get a drill that actually properly opens it up. What's that? Oh, there's one in there, might work. So that's a bit thin. Right, come on Chris, sort it out, let's make a video. So get a drill that opens it up a little bit. And then just go until, look inside it and make sure it's all clean in there. Push down a little bit. Just make sure all the dirty, whatever is investment from casting or whatever was in there is out. Should be a clean little hole. And now we've got to fill that up. Now a hole that big, you can't just fill it up with solder, because when you can fill it up with solder and then you can file it and paper it, it'll look great. But when you come to polish it, you'll definitely see it, especially in platinum. So you've got to fill it up with metal. So get a bit of platinum wire, got to be the same metal obviously. And oh yeah, I'll show you what I do to prepare the wire before I put it in. So get a bit of wire, pull it down if you've got to, to get it to a dimension where it can be wedged in there and just hold itself. That means it's really tight. You don't want it so thin it's flapping about, it's no good. You want to really fill that hole. So what I used to do is file the end flat and then just take the corners off a little bit. I'm just rotating it between my finger and thumb. Just take that sharp corner off a little bit, not loads. And then try and get it to wedge in there. Gonna hold it with these pliers right near the end so it's not bending about. See if I can get this to wedge in there and stay there. There you go. Good. That's only in there like a mil or whatever, but it's holding all that length in, so it's really tight. Perfect. That means it's gonna solder up really well. If you don't want to solder with all that length of wire on, you can snip it off right at the bottom. But bear in mind, you are giving it a shock and you might knock it out of position, so be careful if you do that. So anyway, cool. That is really properly plugged up now, so now I've just got to solder it up. Right, 100%. 100%. If you're working in platinum, you've got to use 1700. All the other solders, even hard solder, they all polish out a bit too easily. 1700 is really close to just being the metal as it is. So you've got to use 1700. But platinum, the melting temperature of even the solder is so high, even, I learnt this hard way, even easy platinum solder will damage diamonds near it. So yeah, there are circumstances where if there's like pave set stones on a ring or something, you're trying to fix a bit of porosity, you are kind of pushed into using 18 karat medium, 18 karat white medium. Not ideal, not good for hallmarking after that. But if you're repairing a ring, you've got to do what you've got to do to get it done. You can't start unsetting pave stones and expect to just be able to get it all back together in like a new looking ring, no way. So you've got to do what you've got to do, but if you've just got a mount, there's no stones in, like something that's cast and you're cleaning it up before setting, you find a porosity hole, working in platinum, you've got to plug it up really tight and then you've got to use 1700 degree solder. So now I've said all that, I'm going to be using medium platinum solder. That's all I've got here. So I'm going through the motions, I'm using medium, but if you're doing it and you're actually trying to fix something, you've got to use 1700. When I'm saying 1700, yeah, that's the melting temperature, 1700 degrees C. It's just hard. I think as platinum, it goes easy, medium, hard, 17. So I guess it's extra hard platinum. Yeah, so my make-believe porosity hole, my make-believe 1700 solder. Let's get on with it. It's fluxed. Platinum is very clean metal, nice metal to work on. So you haven't got to go mad with flux. I don't know if you've ever noticed on my videos, I'm always putting loads of flux on things that are silver. That's kind of what I feel like I've got to do to make it work. But platinum's a bit more easygoing. So I've got quite a generous blob, well, really generous blob of platinum solder there. If you go into all this work to plug up a hole, you may as well really make sure you've got enough solder to really do the job properly. There's no point in skimping on it. So platinum gets very bright because you're getting it to such a hot temperature. You've got to have eye protection on. I've got my goggles on. Actually, I reckon this is like hotter than medium. Oh, this stupid torch, come on. Give me some heat, yo. There we go. I mean, classic Japanese solder. They say easy, they say medium, but everything just feels like hard. Right, cooling down now. Have a look around it. Right, so just a bit of friendly advice. If my camera will focus. If you've set something up to solder in front of you and everything's in a convenient position, yeah, you may as well just do the solder and then not touch it. Don't immediately grab the tweezers and let go of it and move it, because if the solder didn't flood one side or the other, whatever, you've got to do it again. You're then having to set it up again. It just wastes a little bit of time. It's a little bit of extra effort to do the job. Oh, this camera. So, yeah, my advice is don't touch it until you've had a close look at the solder joint. So I would love to show you this, but my camera's not playing ball. Anyway, yeah, so I'm looking over it, I'm looking down on it now, and yeah, it looks okay. I hope you can see that clearly, because there's quite a big blob of solder on there. I really went to town putting solder on that. And I'll say it again, if you're working in platinum, you've got to wear eye protection. It burns, it gets so hot, it's so bright, it's white hot, literally white hot. Really going to damage your eyes if you're doing a lot of it. And I did a welding course recently here in Japan. This is it, this is my first ever weld. It's quite neat, yeah. There's one guy there, he clearly had a bit of experience, but I think he's just going through doing the course to get a qualification. But he wouldn't wear eye protection. Like we're like offering him the goggles, and no, I don't need it. And we're like using acetylene, yeah. It burns even brighter than this stuff. Oh, it's just making me cringe watch him do it. It was like burning white hot right in front of him. And then sure enough, like those of us that had wearing the eye goggles, I mean mine was quite good for a first attempt. His one was all lumpy and crap because it's just so bright. Your eyes can't even pick out any detail. It's just being blinded by bright whiteness. So yeah, you'll do a better job if your eyes are more relaxed, and it's just safer as well. Just wear and tear on your eyesight. Got to look after your bits if you want to have a career in the jewellery trade. Just be careful with the dust you'll breathe in. Be careful with the fumes, because you know even stuff like that, that's slightly poisonous. Yeah, if you're doing a lot of soldering, you're basically vaporizing that and then breathing in the gas. So it's not good for you. You've got to have a bit of ventilation, got to look after your eyes, look after your posture, your back, your breath, just everything. Yeah, you've got to consider your safety and your health. Random bit of health and safety there. Right, let me take these off. So that should file down. I'm going to paper it. And that hole should be completely gone. I mean, on a piece of jewelry, I'll be using my paper disc now, but just to save time and get on with it, I'll grab a buff stick. There you go, that is completely gone. Let me go to a smoother one to brighten up a bit more. Looking good? That should be good for polishing and then not show up again. So there you go, that's it. I just wanted to show you that because this video was inspired by a comment on I should consider laser welding, and yeah, I know about it, and they come in very useful to help you out in that kind of situation. So yeah, so rather than just replying to that comment on a video, I thought I'd actually make a video and then more people will see it as well, rather than just explaining myself in 2 paragraphs on one comment on one video that no one will ever see. Actually upload a video, because that information might be useful to people. So yeah, if you are repairing something, I would recommend platinum. You've got to use 1700, or any precious metal, just use the highest melting temperature solder you can get away with. And you can't just put a bit of solder on the end of a wire and hold it in. It's got to be really plugged in there, really jammed in there. It's got to be cleaned out really well, then you've got to really jam a bit of metal in there. If it's convenient, like on the side of a wide ring shank or something, you can literally have a bit of metal in and tap it down with your pin hammer, like really force it in. Then use high melting temperature solder, and you shouldn't have any more problems with it. It should be done. Doesn't mean you're not going to find another porosity hole next to it though. But you are limited sometimes as well. If there are stones, like pave set stones in a shoulder or something, there are sometimes restrictions, but you've got to do what you've got to do. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, I'll leave it there, and I hope you join me again for more jewellery making advice on the next upload. See you then, bye.